Thinking about retirement already? What's got a young, good-looking person such as yourself making your little noggin worry about such a mundane thing like retirement accounts? Well, if you're anything like me, it's because you're obsessed with this shit. Hello there, fellow finance-obsessed person. My name is Mike, and here on this channel, I like to talk all things personal finance. I try to make a very concise and easy view on all the topics that I talk about, whether that would be personal finance like budgeting and trying to make sure ends meet, whether that would be retirement accounts or any kind of retirement type stuff, or whether that would be like buying a house. Any of those topics I try to pare down, pull the veil from your eyes, give you a clear view into a path forward along your journey. If any of that interests you, think about hitting that sub button. I always appreciate a like. Very kind of you. All right, let's talk IRAs. An IRA, also known as an individual retirement account, is an account created in 1974 with the Employee Retirement Income Security Act. I wasn't going to remember that, so I read it. It then became more robust with the Economic Recovery Tax Act of 81. But if we fast forward into 1997, they came out with a version called a Roth IRA. It was made in the Taxpayer Relief Act and allowed for things like no penalty withdrawals and tax-free growth in retirement. But more on that soon. All right, enough of the history lesson. Let's move into what an IRA is and what it actually does for you in your retirement picture. Okay, so typically there are two different accounts, kind of what I alluded to earlier. There's a traditional and a Roth. These accounts were designed in order for you to seize tax advantages while allowing your money to grow within the stock market. Each IRA has its own advantages and disadvantages. You're going to have to make a personal thought on your own. I definitely have one that I think is much more prevalent, especially to a wider range audience than the other one. But anyway, you're going to have to make your thoughts. We'll go over each one of them here in just a second. And then I'll come in and give you a picture of what I'm doing in my retirement process. So like I was talking about, there are two types of IRA accounts, traditional and Roth. Please note that in order for you to be eligible to contribute to an IRA, you must have earned income within that tax year. And that amount that you can contribute cannot exceed the total amount of money that you've made for the year. Also, there is a stipulation in the tax year of 2024 that you cannot exceed $7,000. So in easier terms, if you only made $4,000 for the entire year, then you can only contribute up to $4,000 into your IRA. But this also means that if you made $8,000 through the entire year, you only can put in $7,000 because there is a limit on how much you can actually put in. This is just for the tax year of 2024. It can change from year to year. There is also a stipulation on contributing to a Roth IRA in which you cannot make more than $161,000, which is calculated off the modified adjusted gross income. Since I feel this video is not aimed at people making over $161,000 a year, if you do fall into that category, you have to look that up yourself. It's MAGI, modified adjusted gross income. I'm quickly going to take each account individually and go over the stipulations and requirements and rules against each one so that you have a basic understanding. This isn't going to be able to tell you which one you should, but it at least exposes you to the idea of both accounts. All right, so let's first look at the traditional IRA. So traditional IRAs are tax advantage accounts that move your tax obligation to the future. So what does this mean? The money that you contribute to a traditional IRA can be written off from your taxable income for that tax year. But the stipulation of that is that the money that you put into this account, when you go to access it in the future, will be used or will be taxed at the rate at which the tax is happening on that year. This does mean that if the tax rate now is 10% and you try to pull it out later and it's 12% for your income level, then you will pay 12 instead of 10%. In the same way, if it was 10% this year and it's 8% in the future, then you would only have to pay 8% instead of 10%. Now, for a traditional IRA, if you do put money into this account, you are locking it away till you are 59 and a half years old. That doesn't mean that you can't pull out your money. It's just that there is an applied 10% penalty if you decide to withdraw it before 59 and a half years old. So for a quick example, if you were to put $5,000 in today and wait a year and then need that $5,000, not only would you pay the taxes that happen next year, you would also then have to pay a 10% penalty on top of that. So before throwing money into your traditional IRA, make sure that you don't need it for some sort of emergency or something like that, because these rules and fees can get you. All right, so let's shift our focus into actual retirement and how this money gets utilized then. So we're past the age of 59 and a half. We've built this money. We've built this big account. Now, it's obviously your money. You get to do what you want with it. But the government does require that at a certain age, you withdraw money from that account so that they can get their cut, because that's the way the government works. They like to take money from you with taxes. Okay, and so this system that I'm talking about, the government forcing you to withdraw money from your IRA, is called required minimum distributions. And there's going to be 4 different brackets that you come across in this traditional IRA account. Since I'm not going to be able to remember all of these, I'm going to read them off the page because there's some weird finagled stipulations on different ones. Okay, so if you are born before July 1st of 1949, you are required to begin minimum distributions from your IRA the year after you turn 70 and a half. If born on or after July 1st of 1949, then you don't have a requirement distribution until you're 72. Okay, now here's where things get a little weird and funky. If you were born between 1951 and 1958, then you are required to take minimum distributions after turning 73. If it's 1960 or later, then you can go all the way up till you're 75. If you were born in the year 1959, I looked on the internet all over the place for this and could not find it, but they actually have pieces that say you may need to look for federal guidance to know when this distribution level is forced upon you. So good luck with that. Sorry about that. I feel like most of the viewers who are going to be on here are going to be born after 1960. So for the majority of you, it's probably going to be an age of 75 in which you're required to take distributions from your IRA. Okay, so quick review of the traditional IRA. You are electing, after contributing to this account, to tax defer until a later date, meaning that you put the money in pre-tax, it grows, you pull it out, it's taxed. Any kind of withdrawal before 59 and a half also incurs a 10% penalty. There is also required distributions when you hit the 70-year mark way down the way. But that there is the traditional IRA. All right, now let's shift focus into the Roth IRA. The other IRA, the Roth IRA, is a tax leverage account in which you put post-taxed money and then you have your money grow tax-free. So I'm going to pay taxes now, contribute to the IRA, the Roth IRA, and whatever the money does while it's in the Roth IRA as it goes up and the market grows, then you will be able to take out all of that money after 59 and a half tax-free. This can be super powerful. Let's just say I put in $5,000 right now and I make some sort of hedged bet in which a stock soars to the moon. I make $100,000. I can then access that $100,000 after 59 and a half completely tax-free. If you grow it to $1 million, tax-free. If you grow it to $1 billion, no taxes. This account also is very nice if you're wanting to access those funds. The money that I put in at a young age can still be withdrawn from the account with no penalty, but I cannot touch any of the growth metrics on this account. What does that mean? Last year, I put in $6,500. That was the limit. $6,500. I put it into my Roth IRA. I could go this year and pull out $6,500 if so needed at any time, tax-free, because it's already been taxed. If I put in more money this year, I can take out that money this year, tax-free. I go next year, I can take out that money, tax-free, because it's already been taxed. But there is the stipulation that if I do pull out the growth, I will be taxed on it and then apply the 10% penalty tax with that. There is one other stipulation on this account that if you want to pull out the growth in retirement tax-free, you need to have your Roth IRA for a minimum of 5 years before you can do that. But since we were all super smart, we started our Roth IRAs at the age of 21, and we have no problem with that whatsoever, correct? The last little tidbit on the Roth IRA is that there are no required minimum distributions unless you have inherited this account from someone else. So very short and sweet, let's do a quick review with a Roth IRA. Tax money goes in and grows tax-free until the age of 59 and a half, in which if you have had your account for more than 5 years, you can then take out the tax-free growth for free, no taxes, and it's just like regular bank account for you at that point. You must have the account for a minimum of 5 years in order to get that tax advantage. And the money that you put in can be taken out at any time because it's already been taxed before. There are no required minimum distributions. All right, so now we've come to the part of the video where I talk about my personal picture and what I'm currently doing. I do believe that the Roth IRA is a little bit better than the traditional IRA. This is easily due to the fact that my money is still accessible, penalty-free, tax-free, if I ever need it from whatever I put into it. I do have to wait to get the growth, which is fine, and I do have to have it for a minimum of 5 years, but since I have my Roth IRA, I'm only 30, and it's not going to be until 59 and a half that I'm even going to think about touching it. It'll be completely fine that I'll have it for those 5 years. There's also no required minimum distributions, meaning that I can continually keep that money growing till I'm 70, 80, 90, whatever, just because I don't have to touch the money in order for the government to get their cut. Okay, I don't want to hit too hard on the traditional IRA because there is one scenario that I feel like could be pretty beneficial for utilizing a traditional IRA. And this is the case of when you are in the 24% tax bracket in which your money is being taxed at a 24%. But if you put that money away in the IRA to drop your tax bracket from 24% to 22%, you could go later on in the year in which you are withdrawing a lot less and therefore paying less taxes on the money that you input or that you contributed to the traditional IRA. This is a very unique situation and probably something that would never happen because if you're making if you're making above $95,000 a year and you're in that 24th percentile bracket, you're probably going to be living at a $95,000 a year lifestyle. So it'd be very interesting to me that you would ever see it where someone who was living at such a lifestyle would be able to go into retirement and just slash expenses and not have to pay as much, and therefore not needing as much, so that your tax bracket is a lot less. That scenario just doesn't seem very plausible to me. It probably could be done, and it probably can be done by many people. I just don't see how a normal person who's had amenity after amenity for so long would then decide, I'm gonna, move back into the poorhouse type thing and not use as much money. I do want to say that is the one caveat of the traditional IRA that I feel like would trump the Roth IRA, but I feel like it's much simpler that if you have a Roth IRA in which you can just not worry about taxes altogether as your money grows, then it's just simpler. It's just easier. Okay, so there you have it. Those are the IRAs in a nutshell, the basics of each type of the account. I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea of where you want to go. Like I said, personally, I'm doing a Roth IRA because I love the idea of just getting rid of the taxes and then watching the money grow and then being able to utilize that money tax-free in retirement. If you found any of this entertaining or a thought process on being actually helpful in your personal finance journey, I do videos every single Monday. I do Mondays. Think about hitting that sub button, hitting the like button. I do appreciate it. Always welcome. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you in the next video.